Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SCB Steelers Inside Blitz for May 6th, 2025. And we will be back this week with a brand new show. We took last week off on Thursday night, and quite frankly, it was much needed. We've been going pretty hard at it. And in the post-draft world, we definitely need a little break. Some of us were unable to be here last week, and we didn't want to give you a half-ass show. So we decided to just take last week off, and we'll be back and better than ever, as they say, coming up on Thursday night, 10 p.m., the SCB Steelers podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated. That'll be coming up at 10 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Just a couple of thoughts on this short form podcast that I've been trying to do once a week, and a couple of those things just pertain to just thinking ahead a little bit. And when it pertains to running backs, and I think a lot of you are like us, and we're still a little perplexed as to why Cordell Patterson is still on the roster. I think it's as much a disservice to him as it is anything, because it just seems like it's a matter of time before he gets cut. But then again, the Steelers may feel as though if there's an injury or something, then they've got his veteran presence there, despite the fact that I mean he didn't do much last year. Let's be honest, okay? But if you look at the Steelers as a team last year, I want to say they averaged about 31 rushes per game. And if you look at Kenneth Gainwell coming over from Philadelphia, he was right around 4.5 carries per game. And Jaylen Warren was about 8 per game. And I think most of us, not all, but most of us as Steelers fans would probably argue that Jaylen Warren should have had more carries. Granted, dinged up a lot last year. He was not, I don't know, he ever really got 100% healthy during the course of the year, which definitely played a part into that. But so if you take Gainwell's 4, you take Jaylen Warren's 8, maybe throw in a jet sweep, something else like that. I know jet sweep's a bad word. Sorry. Maybe a fullback run or something like that. If we have some type of fullback this coming season, that still leaves you with about 15, 16 carries. So I guess my question is that going to be all on Caleb Johnson, the rookie from Iowa? Are we going to see Gainwell get a little bit more? Are we going to see Jaylen Warren get a little bit more? Is this going to be a true running back by committee? And look, I realize I'm getting way ahead of things. They haven't even started any of the real OTA stuff as far as implementing things. But I think it's just something to consider, what it's going to look like. And I don't think anybody would be overly upset by Caleb Johnson being the bell cow or the workhorse back here. It just strikes me as interesting when you start doing a little bit of that math. And now, of course, a lot of that will also depend on who the quarterback is. If it's Mason Rudolph, then I think those rushing numbers will stay right in there. If not, maybe go up a little bit. If it's Aaron Rodgers, maybe those rushing numbers go down a little bit. I don't know, and none of us are going to know until Aaron Rodgers makes a decision. Okay, but just something I was thinking about in regards to the running game, which we all know needs to be better, needs to be more consistent, and it needs to come out of the blocks well for 2025, no doubt about it. Another little tidbit of news came out that it's possible the Steelers could be having an alternate helmet this year. And look, I'm old school. I'm a traditionalist. For me, the only old school helmet or alternate helmet, if you will, is to go back to the gold helmet that they wore several years ago, back during the Big Ben days, when Hines Ward was still around, and they had the real kind of basic black jersey with the gold numerals and the gold stripes, nothing else on it. And I believe the pants were white with the black and gold stripes going down the side. I'm all for that. I would love to bring that back. I love that uniform. I just think it's a classic old school look. I see a lot of folks talking about, going with something more modern as an alternate, going with a chrome look, a matte look, all this stuff. I get it. It's exciting. People like to talk about that stuff. They like to dive into the different options and the different alternatives that might be out there. But just I can only give my opinion, and my opinion is I like tradition. And if it is going to be a change, I would love to just see the gold helmets come back. But what can I really tell you in regards to that? A couple of things around the NFC North as well. Obviously, most of you have seen Justin Tucker was released by the Ravens, and look, this again proves something that we've talked about on our podcast and we've written about on at the site SteelCityBlitz.com numerous times. When you are a professional athlete, especially in the National Football League, you can be greatly protected if you are a productive player, not just statistics wise, but also leading your team to victories. A lot can be covered up. We saw this with Antonio Brown, Mike Tomlin, for all the things I can say about playoff utility and clock management and a bunch of other things. Mike Tomlin's ability to manage Antonio Brown could go down as one of the great things in the history of coaching, quite frankly. But eventually time ran out and Antonio got so out of character and so out of whack, so to speak, that even Mike Tomlin recognized it is no longer worth it. Now, did Antonio Brown do the things that Justin Tucker is alleged to have done? No, he did not. But what I'm just simply getting at is we saw some cracks in the armor of Justin Tucker last year, some misses that were very uncharacteristic for him. And so I think the evidence must be pretty overwhelming. This was a big story in Baltimore long before anybody in the national press got it. And so I am not surprised to see that happen. And of course, the running joke is that the Browns will probably pick him up now, but I don't think so. I think we've probably seen the last of Justin Tucker. And what will be really, really curious is whether or not he becomes a Hall of Famer, because he is a Hall of Famer as far as his ability on the football field. And I would say the same about Antonio Brown. There was nobody better for about a 6-year stretch. Nobody. He was the hardest working, most effective wide receiver in the league. And I do believe he's a Hall of Famer. But again, there's going to be a lot of people that don't necessarily pull for him strictly because of the behavior. And that's how it works. Some leagues do it a little bit differently than others. Okay. Let me close by just again saying thanks everybody for checking this out. Thanks for checking out the SCB Steelers podcast. And we will again be back with you live 10 o'clock. We're anxious. We're excited to put the finishing touches on the draft and cover some of the undrafted free agent guys that were signed. Start looking ahead into the OTAs as the guys get on the field. They start doing some install and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we'll have the latest on what Aaron Rodgers is doing. And, just really start looking at positions and where guys fit, where these rookies are going to fit, what can we expect from these rookies? And just, obviously also the decision, George Pickens is still a Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, even though many of us thought he may be traded around the draft, and that did not happen. So a lot to talk about, and make sure you tune in right here at our YouTube channel coming up 10 o'clock on Thursday night. And as always, everybody, go Steelers.